Hello everyone, it is Andrew from IDB here, looking at some of the best minimalist cases for your iPhone from Grovemade. They have a whole range of iPhone cases, going from just a straight up bumper to a bumper with the back, a bumper with a leather back, and a full-on folio that can hold a couple cards and some bills. If you've never ordered from Grovemade before, they're all about the experience. So when your package shows up, both the actual product and the receipt and everything are all wrapped in some nice little parchment paper with a little sticker that says thank you on it. So in my parchment wrapped envelope, I had the invoice for what I had ordered, some instructions, as well as a little handwritten note. The instructions for the folio case are pretty easy to follow, just how to put your phone in and how you can use it as an extra display. On the back are what I consider kind of common sense information, which is leather and wood do not like water, and that leather is going to change over time the more that you use it. So we have two cases to look at today, all the way up on the top of the line, which is the full-on folio with the leather, and then all the way on the bottom end with just a really super minimalistic bumper. On the actual folio side, this is the iPhone 7 Plus model, so you can see we have the ports on the bottom for the iPhone 7 Plus. The left corners are squared off while the right corners are rounded off, and that's because it'll actually fold up inside of the little folio here. I really like all the little detail work they did in the actual woodworking of this case. I have the walnut one here if you could not tell, but they also have a lighter maple version if that's more your style. Now you can see here on the actual spine of the device, it's kind of etched out a little bit, which makes it super flexible, because if it was just all one piece of leather, it might not bend as smoothly and easily as it does when they've kind of pre-marked that spot where it needs to actually flex. Luckily, wood has a little bit of give to it, so when we actually go to put in our phone, it can fit super precisely but still be relatively easy enough to get your phone in. Put your right side in first and then the left side. You can see a little bit about halfway down the left hand side, there's a little bit of a lip, and that's what's going to go over your phone and help keep it in place. The buttons on these Grovemade cases are really nice. They could have just put little cutouts and allowed you to hit the actual buttons that are beneath, but they allowed for more full coverage, and they actually made wooden buttons that'll go over the side and makes it super clicky, makes it feel like you're actually clicking the buttons that are on your phone. A potential downside is that the actual toggle switch for the mute button was a little bit recessed in there, and it was a little bit harder to get into. So if you got little stubby fingers, or if you don't worry about that, you have really short nails, then that could be a problem, but it really wasn't too bad. But if we're just trying to find potential problems with these cases, as I mentioned before, you can use this as a little display or a little stand, which is really helpful. It's perfect for having a FaceTime call, or if you're trying to watch a TV show or a movie. Really easy just to prop it up and you have a little kind of display for your phone. We also mentioned before that this folio version also has a built-in card slot. So on the inside of the kind of flap on the front, you can see we have a card slot. It can hold 1 to 2 cards and maybe a couple bills pretty easily. I wouldn't push it much more past that, because then you get to the point where it'll stretch it out and you might have some problems when you take that out and things being a little bit loose. One more great thing, like many Samsung cases actually, they have the little cutout for the earpiece, which is super useful when you get on the phone and you don't actually have to wrap it all the way behind. You can actually listen to it straight on your phone with the cover closed. Let's go on to the bumper. The bumper is very similar, obviously, to the full folio, except it's missing the back. You can see a little bit here of how the buttons work. There's just a piece of foam lining, kind of foam rubbery lining behind them, and that's keeping them in place and allows them to move very easily to press the buttons that would be placed behind them on the phone itself. I really like that they have these wooden buttons, just like a small little thing that shows the attention to detail in these cases. Putting the bumper is similarly easy as just the folio is. It goes around the outside. It does offer nice coverage. I feel like it would still be dangerous to drop them in here because there's not a lot of padding, but it will protect your phone in the case of a fall. I'm not sure which of these two I like more. I really like the look of the bumper. It is so minimalistic, but it still has all those rounded corners instead of the 2 rounded corners like we saw in the folio, because it doesn't have that leather wrapping around the front. All the buttons, everything feels really smooth and well machined. Like, it looks like a very high quality piece, and I love the little details they put on the corners. The little inserts on the corners there just look really nice, very aesthetically pleasing. The port hole may be a little bit small for some third-party cables, but it's still actually relatively large, so you shouldn't have an issue on either of these cases when you're actually trying to charge it. One more thing of note is the actual case is raised up a little bit on the top and the bottom of the phone. Just enough so when you have it set down on a table, your screen or the back of your phone is not touching the actual table itself. So it does raise it up just a little bit, so if you ever happen to drop it face down or something, there is a little bit of clearance, a little bit of elevation between the edge of your case and the phone itself. So there you have it, two fantastic minimalist cases from Grovemade. We have the walnut version. They also have a maple one as well. If you're interested in either of these cases at all, please feel free to check out the link below in the description. Let us know what you think down in the comments and which one is your favorite. Otherwise, subscribe, and until next time, this is Andrew for IDB.